Now, we're about to dive into some real talk about Kamala. And this reporter right here, Daleiden, he's about to break it all down for you. Exposing the truth, the real truth, y'all. So I need my people to tune in, focus up, and understand what's really happening out here. Don't just watch this like it's some entertainment. Nah, this is deeper than that. We got to see beyond the surface. Is there a connection between Kamala and P-Diddy? That's the question. We got to stop getting distracted by all the noise and wake up to what's happening right in front of us. So sit back, open that third eye, and let's get into it. This is bigger than you think.
About 5 or 6 California DOJ agents started stomping through my apartment. Some of them were armed with AR-15s, some of them had canine dogs with them. Kamala Harris is the single greatest threat to First Amendment civil liberties that our country has ever seen. April 5th, 2016. This is an idyllic Southern California spring day. As I'm walking out to take the kitchen garbage out, I turn around the corner and pass a big white windowless van. All of a sudden the door swings open and this tall uniformed guy steps out and he has a piece of paper in his hands and he says, "Are you David Daleiden?" And he says, "I'm with the California Department of Justice. We have a search warrant for your home." And he hands me the warrant. And I think to myself, oh gosh, what's going to happen next? So about 5 or 6 California DOJ agents started stomping through my apartment, the other 5 of them standing on the lawn outside. Some of them were armed with AR-15s, some of them had canine dogs with them. They had come for me. In 2013, I began and orchestrated an almost 3-year-long, very in-depth, comprehensive investigative journalism study about the harvesting and trafficking of body parts from late-term abortions. There's multiple violations and multiple issues that you very quickly start to learn about when you look into it. There's the basic problem of selling body parts, where you're basically creating a system, creating transactions, creating business relationships that incentivize the objectification and the destruction of human beings in order to keep the business going. So for about 30 months, we went undercover with the explicit purpose of partnering with some of the biggest Planned Parenthood abortion clinics in the country to send their technicians in, harvest body parts from the abortions that were being done that day, and then package up the parts and ship them off to different customers all around the country, sometimes around the world. In July of 2015, we began to release the Undercover video series. I had been hoping that this was something that would, that would maybe generate 100,000 views or something. Instead, what happened was even bigger than I could have imagined. Within less than a week, we had close to 3 million views on YouTube of the first video, and multiple congressional committees announcing that they were launching federal investigations of Planned Parenthood's involvement in fetal trafficking and fetal experimentation. The truth got out there, and the words of Planned Parenthood's own leadership describing their organization's participation in these activities went viral and was being publicized for the whole world to see. Looking back on it from the information that we know now, I now know what was going on was that Kamala Harris, at the explicit instruction of Planned Parenthood, had targeted me, and me alone, among all undercover video news gatherers in the state of California, to enforce the California video recording law against me and to punish me for speaking the truth about her powerful campaign donors at Planned Parenthood. What we've come to learn in the years since, just 2 weeks before serving the search warrant on my home, Kamala Harris had a secret meeting in Los Angeles with several top-level executives of Planned Parenthood in California. We then found out from the California DOJ investigator reports that Planned Parenthood's top lawyer in California had specifically instructed the California DOJ agents that Planned Parenthood wanted the video equipment and the computers that I was using to publish the videos to be seized. in order to shut me up, in order to prevent me from continuing to publish the truth about Planned Parenthood's involvement in fetal trafficking, and in order to punish me for speaking out with a message that was disfavored by Planned Parenthood and by Kamala Harris in the state of California. I think what people have to understand about organizations like Planned Parenthood and about their political backers like Kamala Harris is that they're shameless, and they will do whatever they have to do in order to promote their agenda. They'll say whatever they have to say, and they are not afraid to use every bit of power at their disposal to force their agenda through. Kamala Harris is the single greatest threat to First Amendment civil liberties that our country has ever seen. If Kamala Harris is elected to be a heartbeat away from the highest office in the United States of America, you will have someone in the White House who has a radical contempt and disrespect for First Amendment civil liberties, someone who believes that she's entitled to use the powers of her office in order to punish the viewpoints of citizens who disagree with her.
You will be the first she comes for. Don't forget, she already locked up our brothers in Cali. Now, to my true NFAC supporters, I need you to spread the word far and wide. We got to stand up, stay on guard, and protect our people from this evil coming our way, the Democrats. They're the ones behind pushing this fake black woman. They're playing games with us, y'all. And I call them demon rats for a reason.
Hey everybody, it's good to be with you this evening. Sean, I want to thank you because you always have a way of convening and bringing folks together.
Well, let me first thank Diddy for convening us. And since I've known him since he was a teenager, he's always stood in the gap and never really got the credit he should have as the cultural icon that he is. I'm not surprised he did it, but it couldn't have been a more timely way of bringing us together. And I really love him for doing this.
We have to be selfish, finally, for our communities. I call Al Pops, if y'all don't know. That's my Pops right there.
All right, family, listen up. Diddy, he's straight up evil, no question about it. And we stand here to protect our children from that darkness. Now, let me tell you, I met Pastor Al Sharpton once, and the man always smelled like baby oil. At the time, I didn't get it, but now I see. I was standing right next to evil. You ever talk to someone and feel like they're trying to go through your pockets, even while you standing right there? That's exactly the vibe that clown gave off. On the streets, he was working for the feds, and guess what? So was Diddy. They've been playing both sides for too long. Family, we need unity, and we need it now to protect our children.
Why is the Democrats in the mainstream media still lying about the Republicans not passing the bill? So I ran across this clip from MSNBC with 60 House Democrats that are urging Mike Johnson to reconvene Congress to pass a bill for the hurricane relief. Y'all take a look at this.
Meanwhile, in Washington, more than 60 House Democrats have signed on to a letter urging Speaker Mike Johnson to, quote, immediately call Congress back into session to pass more disaster funding. But Johnson so far is not budging.
So I want y'all to pay attention that they said House Democrats. That's going to be important later. Now, Speaker Mike Johnson responded to this claim. Take a look.
Mr. Speaker, was it a mistake to leave and adjourn the Congress for the campaign trail without addressing more disaster relief funding given the circumstances that we now find ourselves in?
Well, the fact is, I think that many people have not fully understood is that we did address it, and we did appropriate $20 billion additional dollars to FEMA with early drawdown authority. So they're sitting on a giant pile of cash, and they haven't used it yet. As of Monday of this week, the Biden administration had only sent out about 1% of those dollars. They'd only distributed 1%. So there's plenty of money to address the immediate needs, and that's what we're counting on them and calling upon them to do.
So the bill that Speaker House Mike Johnson is referring to is the appropriated bill, which funding is allocated to each department for each fiscal year. So in this case, the government fiscal year is different than just thinking about it annually. Their fiscal year starts on October 1st through September 30th. That is their entire fiscal year. The bill that he's talking about that they passed is H.R. 8752. which they had already passed this bill in the House on June 28th, 2024. Within this bill, various federal departments are allocated funding. So in this case, with the Disaster Relief Fund, they allocated over $22 billion that had passed the House. Now remember that the majority in the House is Republicans. Now the funny thing about all of this is that they're on the news saying that the Republicans are the ones that shot down the bill. Well, let's really take a look at that. So as you can see here on the roll call, you had about 207 Republicans that voted yay, but you had 197 Democrats that said nay. So who really shot down the funding? I'm just asking. So now that we have established that the House actually did pass the appropriation bill for 2025, now it's left up to the Senate. And who rules the Senate? The Democrats. And who is president of this current Senate? Your Vice President, Kamala Harris. So who really needs to pass the bill and come back to Congress? Just asking. So you may ask, why are they doing this? And why did Mayorkas get on the news in the mainstream media and say that FEMA doesn't have enough funding to make it through this season? I'm going to tell you why. Because Trump showed up before any of the government showed up with supplies, food, oil, money, anything. And he was boots on the ground on September 30th. And the optics made them look bad. So now they got to spin the story because it's an election year. Now, while Trump was on the ground, this is what Biden had to say during this time on the same day, September 30th.
On the hurricane, Mr. President, why weren't you and Vice President Harris here in Washington commanding this weekend?
I was commanding. I was on the phone for at least 2 hours yesterday and the day before as well. I commanded. Call the telephone. Is it all my security?
Now, mind you, this is the government. They knew a whole week in advance that this hurricane was about to hit. And so did Mayorkas. And they knew that the House and the Congress was in session that last week of September because they passed the 9747 bill that also extended funding. Why didn't Mayorkas speak up then? So even before Mayorkas got on the mainstream media and claimed that FEMA didn't have enough money to make it through this season, they knew they had executive drawdown power. As Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson said, this means that by executive power, they can allocate funding immediately to the designated disaster areas. These disaster areas was declared after October 1st. Some before then, but mostly after October 1st, which means that you are now in a new fiscal year. So this $20 billion does apply to this disaster. But I find it funny on September 26th, he did an executive drawdown for Ukraine. President Biden has done over 55 executive drawdowns for funding allocated to Ukraine. This means that the funding can get to wherever it needs quickly, as I stated before. So instead of them focusing on the health and the disasters that were about to hit our nation and our country, they focused on foreign affairs. And then it came back to bite them because Trump showed up immediately after the disaster happened. So all you Democrats that are running out there and trying to bash us for speaking up and standing on the truth, this is what we mean that this administration puts Americans last. Y'all have a good day.
All right, family, let me tell you why I put this video here as a bonus. This is to show y'all how MSNBC, CBS, CNN, and all these so-called news outlets have been lying straight to your face. They think we can't see the truth, but that's why I'm telling you to use your third eye every time Obama shows up trying to put our people back on the fields like we still on the plantation. We are a highly intelligent people, and it's time we stop listening to these Democrats and the false narratives the fake news keeps pushing. We're not falling for their tricks anymore. And to my true supporters, I got something special for y'all. You will receive an invitation to our announcement via Zoom in the first week of 2025, where you'll meet the new leader of the NFAC. Big things are coming. On top of that, I'm excited to announce I'm engaged to be married to my beautiful island queen. So much love, family. Stay blessed, stay strong, and always stay ready. All right, fam, love you, and y'all have a blessed day.
Nobody's talking about the fact that old Kamala Harris has ties to the diddler and his Howard parties, where a lot of AKAs attended. Maybe they're all ordering pizza again.